I don't know how much you guys are involved in the world of fitness drama, but in this section called Hella Fitness Drama, we are going to talk a little bit about something that happened recently because there's a deeper point. Big Boy, Strength Cartel. This is a dude who's a big player in the fitness game, supplements. He's got merch. He's also an accomplished power lifter. He's a big tatted. He's got like one of the widest frames I've ever seen. Like he's just a gigantic dude. He says he's 270, but my guess would be he's more like 300 pounds at 5'10", 5'11". And actually, there was a funny video of Eric Kanefsky going up to him at a recent fitness convention and asking him, have you seen these videos where Eric Kanefsky goes up to bodybuilders? He's like, how much you weighing these days? And they're like, oh, about 260. And he's like, here's a scale, step on it. or he'll go up to a bodybuilder, like, how tall are you? And they're like, 5'9". And he's like, can we measure you? Which is like, it's funny, but it's also disrespectful. So he had this confrontation with Big Boy. And Big Boy's friendly at first. And Eric Kanefsky just kept putting, now Eric Kanefsky's a pretty big dude, probably in the high 200s himself, very muscular. And he's an amazing troll. I don't think he's scared of Big Boy. Big Boy is very big, very athletic. He can do some pretty incredible things as far as lifting, but also can do 360 kickflips and shit. Like it's, he moves like a much smaller guy. So he's dangerous, obviously. But Eric Kanefsky was in his face, and he just kept pressing. He's like, he's like, oh, I'm 270, I'm 5'11". He's like, can we measure you? He's like, no, I'm good, man. I just want to keep it respectful. And he goes, what did I say that was disrespectful? He's like, nothing. I just, but they kept kind of going back and forth on that stalemate. Now, I'm kind of with Big Boy in this where it's like, you don't have the right to clap your hands and make me jump on a scale. I don't care because it's not a sensitive issue for me. But if it was at all, or if I had any sort of prior relationship, even just with Eric Kanefsky content, because he is a troll and tries to make fools out of people in a somewhat lighthearted way. He also does this To Catch a Predator stuff, which is pretty, I guess it's a good service to humanity. It also makes for some pretty good content, but I think there's both sides of the argument where if you're going to make a claim and you're at a fitness expo, it might be a little bit normal. And I wouldn't mind doing it because I think it's fun. Because I'd be like, my guess is I'm 250? Let's actually see. My guess is I'm 6'3". Who knows? Maybe I'm 7 feet tall. I tend to undersell that because I don't want the NBA thinking I'm 7 feet tall because people over 7 feet tall have shorter careers. So there's that. And it's just financially, it's a better decision for me to say that. So there was a guy, Joey Stacks, the most roundabout way to ever say this. Joey Stacks was in the Strength Cartel and came out and had a number of accusations against Big Boy. He was being underpaid. He was being disrespectful. He was talking shit about all the people in the Strength Cartel behind his back and just basically calling this guy a liar, a fraud. His merch is cheap. He underpays people. He lies to people. There's this story about Big Boy robbing Rich Piana back in the day. And it starts off with Joey Staggs saying, oh yeah, we first met at this fitness convention and started talking about going to prison. They both went to prison when they were younger. And Joey Staggs was like, oh yeah, I was in prison for a total of 6 years. 3 years on, they got caught, went back for 3 years. And Big Boy goes, oh yeah, I was in for 8. And it turns out he was actually in there for 3. And he's like, this was the start of me realizing that he has to one-up everybody and lie about stupid things. And that's an interesting psychological phenomenon in and of itself. People who one-up and just can't let something go, where it's like, oh yeah, I benched 200 yesterday. Oh, it's crazy, I benched 250. And it's like, what? Or just nobody's even they'll be on the side of the conversation and be like, yeah, I benched 250. And it's like, but nobody asked you. Or they'll insert things, right, that don't even have even to do with one-upping. It's just one-upping the attention in the room, the focus on somebody else. And you're like, hey, this crazy thing happened and I'm really awesome. Right? All stories kind of lead down that route. There's a lot of Big Boy's personality that makes me think that's very possible that he is a pathological liar because he leads so much with charisma. When you see him on camera, you're very drawn in. He's an amazing speaker. He's very smooth. You can see that he knows how to make other people feel good and trust him, and he knows how to praise people in front of the camera or in front of them and kind of build other people up and make himself seem sort of benevolent and selfless. And I've noticed that's what people who true sociopaths that I've met in my life have that gift where it's like they will talk to you and make your brain tingle with excitement by making you feel special, right? That's really the power. It's not like they're convincing you how awesome they are. Of course, they'll slip up and they don't realize sometimes how this one-upping or the bragging, the subtle bragging can come across. But the main gift that sucks people in is like, they're going to make you feel really awesome, the love bombing aspect of it. Have you ever met somebody like that, Casey? Like somebody who you later found out was like a really bad person, but at first you're like, oh, this person like is so nice.
I don't think so. Maybe it's me. Maybe that's why I didn't fucking notice. No, I don't think so.
Yeah. And
I try not to talk to people in general, so.
Right. Statistically pretty rare. And I'm thinking like if I remove these, XYZ people, because if you have emotional intelligence, it's also a red flag. You know what I mean? Like, they could be very charming, but then if you know anything, you're kind of like, the moment somebody like one-ups you or gives you that weird like, vibe of like, are they lying right now about something totally arbitrary and irrelevant?
Yeah, we had a guy I worked with once. I mean, we called him the topper, but he wasn't a sociopath. He was just like, it was just a topper.
Insecure, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's another thing. It's like you don't have to be a sociopath to be a pathological liar. Those two things tend to correlate, but you can also be somebody who just feels like to be valued in a friend group, you have to embellish, right? And I have a lot of sympathy for that. I don't have a lot of sympathy for people who use that embellishment or lying or exaggeration to then exploit other people, right? That crosses a major line, obviously. Now, Joey Stacks put out this video, leaving Strength Cartel, calling Big Boy out. Big Boy's response to that was to travel to this fitness convention that he knew Joey Stacks would be at in Texas and try to fight him. Joey Stacks is much smaller. Now, he's a muscular dude, but let's say he's like 5'6", 5'7", 170, 180 max, Big Boy is squats 800 pounds, like deadlifts like 7 plates for reps. He's gigantic and like again has like the widest shoulders I've ever seen on a human potentially. Now his body fat's a little higher, but like if you could strip it all off, he'd look like freakishly proportioned just how big he is. And he trains boxing. He's fast and athletic. He could do some damage to a guy who he's 100 pounds more than in a street fight. But the code of the street is you call me out, you say my name, you talk shit, we're fighting, right? So he shows up in this hotel lobby and is basically like, let's throw hands right now. And Joey Stacks is like, you're 270 pounds, probably 300, but he kept saying you're 270. Joey Stacks takes out a knife. There's a confrontation. There's drama. People are filming it, yada, yada. He puts it online. And the title of Big Boy's video is Exposing Joey Stacks, right? Because he wouldn't fight him in the middle of a hotel lobby. Now, I was like, oh, the comments must be roasting Big Boy for like having this angry, confrontational, like physical confrontation to somebody who's making all these accusations of empirical fact about you, right? If somebody was like, Mark, you're a pathological liar and a shitty human and you manipulate and exploit people, my response wouldn't be, I'm going to beat you up now to prove that I'm actually a good person. That's just my logic. But I guess the logic of the streets dictates it doesn't matter how big you are or whatever. If you impugn somebody's name, you get your ass beat. And because Joey Stacks backed down from that or pulled out a knife or said, I'm not going to fight you, he lost the argument. And also, these are people on on Big Boy's page, so they're biased towards agreeing with him. But I'd be very interested to know what you guys think of this, because it just struck me as like, he's calling out your entire existence, and you're like, fight me. Okay. And then you're just going to be an asshole who bullies smaller people.